Hi, this is Tim Gray, Senior Pastor of the City of Zion, and welcome to another episode of Phronesis. Today I'm going to be starting a series that I've titled Soul Cavities. Maybe you've heard me talk about it before, but there is a need for us to rehash some important truths. What is a cavity? Are you ready? I'm assuming you are, so let's go right into it. What is a cavity? A cavity is defined as an empty space within a solid object, usually in the human body. Did you get that? Like cavities in our teeth, soul cavities are spaces, they are gaps in our understanding, in this case our souls, that give the enemy footholds in our lives. Ephesians chapter 4 verse 27, the Amplified Version says, leave no such room or foothold for the devil, meaning give no opportunity to the devil. Soul cavities give opportunities to the devil. Like tooth cavities, sometimes we only discover a soul cavity by accident. For example, do you recall how maybe you went to the dentist, all you were thinking is maybe I need a tooth clean and I need tooth whitening, and then the dentist tells you that you actually have a cavity. It's the same thing that happens to us many times as it relates to a soul cavity. Sometimes the only reason we even know a cavity exists is because some things just keep getting stuck. You know, you're eating and you're having to dig into a part of your teeth to get some of the food out. Sometimes that's the only reason why we even discover that there's a soul cavity. In an area of your life, you just keep getting stuck. You think you are confessing as you should, you're praying as you should, you're fasting as you should, you're studying as you should, but you find yourself being stuck. It might be because you are experiencing what we actually call a soul cavity. Many times we also discover soul cavities like tooth cavities only when it becomes extremely painful. And so I've seen some people that have tolerated a lot of harassment in their lives, believers now, a lot of harassment in their lives, and they even begin to wonder, maybe God doesn't care, maybe I've done something wrong and I'm suffering the consequences of it, instead of realizing that like a tooth cavity, that pain, that prolonged oppression was an indication that there was a cavity in the soul. This will make it clearer for you. So let me give you an example of a soul cavity at work. In John chapter 11 verse 17-27, so Lazarus has died. They told Jesus delayed in coming through, and so what was it, 4 days later Jesus showed up on the scene. Now let's pick up the story. So Jesus has entered into the city. Martha bumps into Jesus. So we're picking up the conversation from that point between Jesus and Martha. So John 11:17 says, then when Jesus came, he found that he had lain in the grave 4 days already. Now Bethany was close to Jerusalem, about 15 furlongs off. What the heck is a furlong? I have no idea. But verse 19 says, and many of the Jews came to Martha and Mary to comfort them concerning their brother. Then Martha, as soon as she heard that Jesus was coming, went and met him. But Mary sat still in the house. She was probably very upset with Jesus. Verse 21, then said Martha, this is where I'm going. I want you to see a soul cavity at work. This happens to all of us. Then said Martha unto Jesus, Lord, if thou hadst been here, my brother will not have died. But I know that even now, whatsoever you ask of God, God will give you. Martha just said that she believed that whatever Jesus will ask, it will happen. Pause. If somebody had asked Martha, do you think Jesus could raise somebody from the dead after 4 days? Martha, off the top of her head, with what she had said in verse 22, would likely have said to them, of course, he is the Messiah. He is God manifest in the flesh. What can he not do? So she uttered those words. Jesus says, all right, let's get down to business. But watch what happens in verse 24. When Jesus said, your brother will rise again, Martha said unto Jesus, I know that my brother will rise again on the resurrection, or at the resurrection at the last day. When Jesus said, I'm ready to bring him back to life now, in accordance with what she had said, suddenly her true state of belief, or in this case unbelief, came to the fore. She immediately countered and said, No, I know you're the Messiah, but I do suspect that it's not going to happen now. It will happen in your second coming. It will happen at the last day. Jesus said unto her. So Jesus now needed to correct this, and Jesus says to her, you don't get it, do you? I am the resurrection. I am the life. He that believes in me, though he were dead, yet shall he live. What am I driving at? You know, sometimes it takes pressure for us to really come to terms with what we actually believe. Let's go back to this story. I need you to catch what I'm saying. So Martha thought that she truly believed that Jesus could raise Lazarus from the dead, though he had been buried for the last 4 days. But when push came to shove, her soul cavity was revealed. What she actually did not believe, what she thought she did. Martha is not the only example. Let me give you another very popular example about a soul cavity. Oh, before I even do that, did you notice that when Martha goes off to get Mary, the Bible says that they found Jesus at the same spot where Martha left him? Why? Because soul cavities have a way of stopping your miracle from coming to pass. Let me give you another quick example of a soul cavity. So Jesus comes, meets John the Baptist, and John the Baptist baptizes Jesus, and John the Baptist says to Jesus and says of Jesus that he is the Messiah. Remember that? So you find out, I think in your Matthew 4, your Luke 4, that Jesus is the Messiah. Suddenly, when you read further, John the Baptist finds himself in prison. He had challenged the king had thrown him in jail, and he was so unhappy with being in jail. Notice the next thing that John the Baptist says. John the Baptist sends emissaries to Jesus, and this was what they had to ask Jesus. Are you the Messiah, or should we seek another? Oh, this is important. If prior to John the Baptist being in jail, if they had asked John the Baptist, do you believe that Jesus is the Messiah? He would have said yes. Of course he's the Messiah. But when he was under pressure, John the Baptist's actual state came to the fore. John the Baptist began to question whether Jesus was the Messiah. And now it makes sense. Because if John the Baptist actually believed that Jesus was the Messiah, according to what he said, why did John keep on baptizing even after Jesus had manifested? Did you notice John the Baptist kept on baptizing people? John the Baptist in his own words said that he must increase, Jesus must increase, but he must decrease. John the Baptist told 2 of his own disciples that that is the one that they should follow. And they left him and they followed, but he never followed. Because even though in his mind he said that Jesus was the Messiah, he actually did not truly believe that he was. And his actions showed it. That's how soul cavities work. Soul cavities reveal our true state. It doesn't matter what we are saying. If we are not careful, what we are saying might not necessarily be what we have believed. In the next few weeks, I'm going to be addressing a litany of soul cavities. If you will stay with me, and we will do the x-ray together, we might analyze why some problems have stayed longer than they ought to have stayed. You don't want to miss another episode of Furnaces when we will continue on the concept of soul cavities. Alas, I'm out of time. This has been Tim Grage, Senior Pastor of the City of Zion, and I say to you, let's deal with our soul cavities. Bye for now.